You got the brawn. Let's. Hey, YouTube. Well, it's happened. I know a lot of you have anticipated the premiere of the final season of Pose, and it happened last night. And they showed us not just one, but two episodes, starting at 10 o'clock. So you had to watch this a while. I was surprised that they have actually had two episodes. So I'm not going to be reviewing the show, but I want to talk about the premiere, right? Some of the things. I think the writing is much better this time, from what I can see already. Hi, Primonda. I can see that the writing is better and the acting is better. The people have become more sophisticated in their roles. So a lot of this they were talking. Now I understand also why I fell off last time on season two. It's because I think it's just striking a little too close to home for me. Because a lot of these things, all this dying and people, all the AIDS, which is unavoidable. That was the story. Just like if they did a story right now, it would be about COVID in the 80s, early 90s. That was the story in the gay community, right? But all the dying and so forth, uh, too many memories. So anyway, I experienced a lot of that watching these episodes last night as well, right? So not only are we talking about AIDS, people are still dying. I think they're in 94 now. 1994. This is right. This is a little bit, just a little bit before. I think protein inhibitors came out in 96. So hopefully people are not giving up in 94, but I know a lot of people were. There were suicides left and right when people started getting sick. Hey guys, hi Diva 715. Lala, Layla, Josh Ocean. How you guys? So let's see. So they're going to talk about another phenomenon, something else that was going on a lot in that period in the 80s, early 90s. And a lot of, I know most of you guys are younger than me, so maybe you don't remember as clearly, or maybe it doesn't have such a personal. Uh, it's not attached to a lot of memories like it was for me. So I found a lot of it very, very sad. But another thing that was going on was substance abuse. So Pray Tell is an alcoholic now. He's a full blown alcoholic. And his alcoholism is a direct result, in my opinion, ordinarily, I wouldn't say it was caused by an event, but his is behind all this death. Now, I don't think he was joking when he said he'd been to 1,000 wakes, but he's been to a lot of them. People are dying all around him. He's got HIV. Blanca's got HIV, and they're seeing people die on a weekly basis, right? Still. So he turns to alcohol, and now he's a full blown alcoholic. And the kid, which we didn't see a lot of this unless they had it in season two, the kid, what's his name? Damon. He was a primary character when they first started this thing, right? The dancer. He has become an alcoholic, right? And the two girls, Angel and her best friend, they are sneaking and smoking crack. But everybody seems to know that they're smoking crack. I think Angel had a problem before in one of the previous seasons. So this girl, who is her best friend, has reintroduced her to crack, right? She thinks she's smoking a joint. Then she finds out that she's actually smoked dope again. And like it really actually happens, next thing you know, she's back on crack. So there are a lot of addiction here. People is, if they're not dying, then they're addicted to something. All right. So their plan is now they have to having an intervention and trying to get Pray Tell, which they all care about him, but he's becoming a real world-class asshole, right? With his temper and his behavior, and it's not showing up. And he's killing himself. Because there was one scene where one of his friends who was dying, Pray Tell drug him to this ball, right? The guy sat at the ball at the counter and drank after he had just taken methadone, and he had a seizure in the club, and they had to come and get him. So what does Pray Tell do? He takes the same medication that he just saw this man fall out and have a seizure behind. Now you make that make sense, but that's what addiction's like. It must be some good shit. I mean, you just saw the man spaz out and he had to be rushed away in an ambulance. And so you take the same pill that he took. Anyway. So the big theme is addiction in this thing. They're a lot more dramatic than I remember this thing being. The backdrop, they're promoting this thing as the backdrop is the ball scene, right? But it's really not the story of the ball scene so much as it is AIDS. It's a story about AIDS, in my opinion. I mean, more so than the balls. The balls are just a backdrop, right? So they come up with a plan. They want to get Pray Tell in the program. They're, I don't know if they should be saying that it's $2,500 a month for him to go to program. But if you want to go to program, you can just go to program. I went to many programs in LA, but these are West Coast people. But usually there's addicts ain't got no damn money. Usually you can get into program if you need to do that. So if you're struggling with drug addiction, you ain't got to come up with no $2,500 a month to get in the program. Actually, I don't even believe those things are all that good. They're usually 26 days. So they're 1 month that you got to pay all this money for, right? Anyway, let me get off subject. Okay, Blanca's in love. This is another sub story. Blanca got her a fine black man. This story is mostly about blacks and Puerto Ricans. Everybody is either black or Puerto Rican, right? Blanca's got this fine black guy. He was recently in another series. It was called Hollywood on Netflix. Anyway, he's added to this cast now. So this is another Ryan Murphy project. And he's already been working with him. The guy is so in love with Blanca that he wants Blanca to meet his parents. Now, they haven't been together that long. They've been together 6 months. And he wants this transgender woman to meet his parents. She is naturally very apprehensive about doing that. First of all, she's never done something like that before. And then she knows for sure that she'll be judged, which is the truth. I mean, if your parents, they don't have any idea that this person is transgender, and you just bring her and introduce them as your fiance, they're going to have a reaction to it. So the mother's BTCIH. She is a proper black woman. I believe she's some kind of doctor, and the father is a successful man as well. So these are upper middle class people or rich people, right? And they're meeting Blanca for the first time. And yes, true to form, the mother makes Blanca very uncomfortable with all her quizzing and questioning, right? Eventually, Blanca will say that she's trans, or Blanca will feel so bad, and she will feel so bad after they leave the presence of these parents. She is mad at her boyfriend now. I'll forget his name. Do I have it? She thinks that he should have stood up for her when his mother was attacking her at a restaurant, right? And the thing went south. And eventually, the girls talk her into confronting him and letting him know how she feels about him not defending her with his parents. So they do it again. The parents want to meet her again, and the mother is still being very inquisitive. And when she announces that she is transgender, I believe the boyfriend is the one who says that she's transgender. She's a trans woman, or she's the mother of a house. The mother, she's an intelligent woman. She's already figuring this thing out, right? So when they finally say it out loud, I knew it. I knew it. Well, girl, so what? You knew it, honey. But I don't know what else that boy was expecting. I mean, he ain't hardly even been with this woman. So that's a sub story, right? He does eventually stand up to his parents and tell them, if you don't want my partner, you don't want me. Okay. They're at the ball. I told you, Pray Tell is being very aggressive lately. He's at the bar. He's drinking. He then took this damn methadone. And that Caddy Queen, the Puerto Rican guy, who is the adversary for this season, he comes and talks shit to Pray Tell because Pray Tell has won this contest, right? They have 5 categories. If all of them win their $500, they have enough money to get Pray Tell into program. But Pray Tell doesn't know what he's participating in. He thinks he's just at a ball performing, right? but the money is actually for him to go to program. And this queen is it's bothering him because he won and she lost, and she is very hot about it. And she is being very catty and says some very nasty, catty things about his demise, about seeing his friends die, and about him dying and him worrying about his own death, kind of thing. She's so far off, you know. His character, they're really laying it on with his character, right? So Pray Tales turns around and knocks her out with one punch. They call her one hitter quitter. Floors the broad, right? Then I thought that was kind of funny. Knockouts always amuse me. So then the big part, and remember that this is two parts. They have part one, part two. Usually, if I'm going to review a show, and I'm not really reviewing this, I'm just giving you some comments. But usually, I'll watch it at night just for my own pleasure, and then in the morning, I'll watch it on demand so I can get the details and take notes. Well, this morning when I went to take notes on this, they're only showing you on demand the second part, which will be part two, right? So anyway, the second part is they're confronting Pray Tell, and this thing goes so far south. But I believe the acting has gotten much, much better, right? We all know that Billy Porter is an accomplished actor, so we're not surprised about him. But the other characters have also stepped up. Or the directing has gotten better, the writing's gotten better, but this damn intervention does not work, right? It ends up with basically them telling him he needs to go to program. At first, he's kind of, oh, I'll go off for a vacation kind of thing, right? And then, ooh, caffeine headache. And then it goes south, and he starts reading everybody, the details of their lives. He calls them all whores and all kind of, and he outs the girls because the girls, the two trans women, are smoking crack. He calls them crackheads, you know, and her boyfriend already knows. What's his name? Poppy. He already knows she got a problem, right? But so far, people have not said it out loud. They all basically know these girls are using again, right? So he reads them. He reads poor Blanca. She's in tears, you know. He reads his boyfriend. I mean, just throws paper in his face and all this kind of stuff. Because the plan is for them all to write this stuff and then read it to him. That's how an intervention generally works. I have never been a big advocate of interventions. I don't know how much they work, but I don't really know that much about it. It wouldn't have worked with me. I mean, to get an addict who doesn't want to get sober clean is it a difficult thing to get him for you to make him do something because you want it. Usually they have to come up with the idea of themselves. They have to want to be clean. But perhaps a part of him does want to be clean. Perhaps a part of this does stick to him. When he gets home, his boyfriend, his lover, this is another fine young guy. This got some good looking actors in here. The partner packs his bags because he already told him in the intervention that if you don't stop drinking or you don't go to program, I'm leaving you, right? So Pray Tell cusses him out, throws things at him, you know, humiliates the boy. And of course he does the extravagant woman. I forget her name. Whatever. He reads everybody in the damn party. Party is a disaster, right? It felt like it didn't work. So the lover packs his bags to leave. At first, Pray Tell is begging him to stay. First, he's being nasty. Then he's begging him to stay. Then at some point, get out, get out, get out, get out. Fuck you. Go away. Go into the streets and all that kind of stuff, right? So the boy leaves. And I think I took a break at that point. Eventually, Pray Tell contacts Blanca and he is ready to go to program. So either I dozed off or something. I missed some parts there. But of course, they had the big balls and they raised all this money because they won every category and all that kind of. I mean, the balls kind of give it a little glitz. It's going to keep people's interest. You know, the young people like all that kind of stuff. But eventually, Pray Tell agrees to go to program. So in the final scene, we see him and Blanca driving out to this green pastures or some shit. It sounds like a funeral home, but it's actually a drug program. And they show him going in, right? So that's what I got out of the episodes 1 and 2. You know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It's too close for me though, because I have so many memories of those situations. These people laying in beds, dying, and so forth like that. That brings back so many bad memories for me that it's hard for me to watch at times. Just me personally. And there's so much reality to it, because the whole group of people who I used to hang out with, we used to go to clubs and all that. I remember the day we found out about AIDS, and we watched the whole progression. And eventually, maybe 3 years later, I went to program for a while, and then all of us ended up on drugs. Some of us ended up on crack. I ended up on meth. My partner ended up on heroin. We all ended up on, and we were not drug addicts. Not when HIV came, we went to the clubs every night. We partied. So I never drank at home. We drank in the club. Enough for me to turn myself into AA, but everybody ended up on dope. Now, I knew there was a connection between my addiction and AIDS. I knew that was for me personally, because at the very time that AIDS was starting is when I decided to become a drug addict. So it must have been a method of escape for me. But what occurs to me now watching this thing is it must have probably, that was true with all of us, because everybody ended up on dope. It was a coping mechanism. So I don't know if there was no HIV, people still get high, people still get strung out on drugs, whatever. But I think the whole thing was exasperated. And we're seeing in this show that the two girls who end up on crack, I don't think it has anything to do with HIV. There's no connection made there. But specifically with Pray Tell, it's about he's very sensitive. He's watched a lot of people die, and it really, really, really affects him. So his coping mechanism is alcohol. That's how he gets. Of course, after you start, you get hooked. You're just hooked. It doesn't matter where it came from, right? So eventually, he goes to program, and then the girl, who I believe her name is Angel. She's been having all kind of problems because of her addiction, but hers had nothing to do with HIV. Hers had to do with not getting jobs, because she's complaining to her boyfriend, Poppy, why can't you get me any work? I haven't worked in damn near a year, right? And so when her friend introduced her to crack again, they started using together, right? So after you start, I think she had a history of using before. After you start, it doesn't make a difference where it came from, was my impression. So my overall impression of these first 2 episodes, I think people are gonna love this thing. This drama is great for history's sake, and then it's great for entertainment because they give you the balls, a little flash, But from what I understand, I thought it was 9 episodes going to happen in here. They call it an abbreviated season. Some people say it's only 7 episodes. So they've already showed you 2 on the first night. This thing will be over in 6 weeks. So I don't know. But I would strongly recommend people see that show. It's very entertaining. The acting has gotten much better. The sets have gotten much better. Angel and Poppy have got this beautiful apartment now. Everything is beautiful. I mean, you remember when they first started, everything was so run down and so tired. Now some of them have become more successful. Okay? Hey, people. Did y'all watch? You can watch it on demand if you have Comcast. Oh, my God. No spoilers. Oh. David, why don't you? Well, does this really hurt it, though? I just gave you a general kind of thing. Close review. Okay. There's a strange email there. Okay. Well, I hope I didn't spoil it for nobody. I don't think it's going to diminish what you're going to see, though. It's hard for me to watch last season and now this one, because all I can remember is people I lost. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was with it, Linda B. I mean, I watched my partner. When my partner passed away, he didn't even weigh 100 pounds. I was there. I was using them, but I was there most of the time, almost to the very, very end. Fortunately for us, his family lived there in Los Angeles as well, so he didn't die alone. They carted me off to jail. That was probably the hardest thing I had ever had to deal with. But I was there almost the whole time. It was hard, honey. And I don't even, then after I got sent up here to San Francisco, to San Quentin, I don't even know the full extent of how many people passed because I was whisked away to jail. So I don't even know how many people survived. You know, it's great that we have. I mean, whoever planned on being 63 years old, shit. People were leaving in their 30s, you know. It was sad. It was hard to watch. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Fluffy stuff. People, I don't understand this. Why did they? Oh my goodness, who in the hell is that? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, hold on a minute here. I got to cancel that and then go over here. Thank you, Miss Bailey. I don't watch Pose, but you are by far my fave. I missed you, baby. Oh, call it so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for super chat, Miss Bailey. Sitting there with your husband. That's your husband. Thank you, guys. Let me see. What else is going on here? Mm-hmm. It's too depressing for me. Right. So I mean, there's some very heavy subjects in there. So I don't know. They built it as being about club scene, right? All of the posters and everything, they always show the girls all dressed up, and it's about these ballroom scene. But really, they go much deeper than that. They go into what actually was happening in these communities. And drug addiction, alcoholism, it is a very serious problem in the gay community. Now, I'm sure it's gay. I mean, it's probably bad anywhere. It's never good to be pushing shopping cart, you know, but a lot of people, that's how they start with just escapism and end up hooked. So it's always been an issue in the gay community, as well as I'm sure other communities. But in that period, everything was bad. Everything was just so depressing, right? And many of us chose to get high. So I do understand it on that level. I understand where Pray Tell is. I think he probably handled the first 20 or so funerals well, and then he starts slipping towards the end of the other season. And so now he's just drunk. And he's scared. He's afraid because he's also has AIDS. People find different ways to deal with it. That guy, the one who had that seizure in the club, he had been stacking up sleeping pills. Because when Pray Tell was in his apartment, he found that he had bottles of sleeping pills, and he stole some of them. But the guy was saving them up. You know what that meant? I mean, eventually, if things got too bad, he's going to kill himself. He was very sick. I mean, he was sick. And so a lot of heavy stuff in there, honey. But I think it's great history for the younger people. We can't forget, you know. Hi, Prima Wanda, Deborah Mitchell. Hi, Deborah Mitchell. So happy to have you here, Tim. Okay, you are very much loved. Oh, it's so sweet. You're so sweet. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Timothy, mods in chat, listening in, balls. I'm just in time. Right. So I thought that perhaps this wouldn't be interesting to people my age, but really it's about people my age because we were the ones that were there. When the time they're talking about, I was in my 20s, right? People who are in their 50s and 60s now, it seems even more relevant to us because they're not talking about now. They're talking about then. Mm-hmm. They're on the East Coast. I was on the West Coast. It's chosen as a way to cope from the struggling in a world that won't let you be you, family abandoned. There's so many issues with gay people. It's not surprising they find escape. But not everybody becomes a drug addict, though. Not everybody becomes an alcoholic. Some people, I mean, you don't know. That's why it's just dangerous, particularly hard drugs. These girls are crackheads. So they're still looking lovely and pretty right now, but they ain't gonna look lovely and pretty in 6 months. So fortunately, another thing at the end, Angel comes to her boyfriend Poppy and tells him that she's ready to get some help. She's gonna get. It's a lesbian woman who was some kind of drug counselor. She's gonna work with her in an outpatient program. I don't remember. I didn't watch a lot of the second season, but she might have had a drug problem before. I don't remember. Anyway, she's decided to get clean. I mean, it all comes down to the decision, right? But for her to get clean, she might have to cut that girlfriend of hers off because the girlfriend knew she had a drug history and offered her crack and insisted, "Go ahead, just take a little bit." That's not your friend, honey. That's somebody looking for somebody to get high with. Mm-mm. The guy that passed away was the break dancer from that. Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch the last season, Mr. Mitchell, R.J. Mitchell, J.R. Mitchell. Yeah, but he was part of that scene. Pray Tell tried to figure he could lift up his spirits a little bit by bringing him to the club because he was a big part of the scene. He was a dancer just a year before. You remember how fast his age thing was moving, though? It was like you get diagnosed, and then 3 years later, you were dead. So that was always been a mystery because even the ones who did not die, we still were alive, 10, 15 years after it initially came, even with HIV positive. So not everybody got sick and died. So these guys, if they're in 1994, they're just on the cusp. Maybe that's why they'll end their season because I believe protease inhibitors, the drugs that saved our lives, came about in about 1996, if I'm not mistaken. But at first, there were no drugs. There was nothing. My partner died, and it was nothing. All they could do is give him some little pill, a pain pill, ibuprofen. There was nothing there. Their AZT didn't do anything, made them lose their hair and look gray. But in combination with other drugs, then it became very useful. Yeah, I remember a lot of it. I was high a lot of the time, but it's unavoidable. And then a lot of people who are doing drugs, even if it had nothing to do with sex, really. But when you start doing drugs, eventually, you burn out all the cuticles in your septums in your nose, deviated septum, they call that. And a lot of people who end up using the drug that I used will end up doing hard drugs, doing the needle. They'll be shooting it up because they can't take it anymore. The nose is already burnt out. So they're going to get high. They have to shoot up. And, and that makes everything so much worse because now you're exposing yourself to these needles. And it wasn't always, they have needle exchanges and all this stuff right now. Even right here in my neighborhood, they have needle exchange. People have packs and packs of needles and all that. But at first, it was illegal to have needles. It was paraphernalia. I went to jail for that, just having a needle on you. So people were sharing needles right when AIDS was rampant. So they became. When I went to prison, when I went to San Quentin, there weren't all gay people in that gym when I was at. There was about half, right? There was about half. So most of the guys, the straight guys, they got it from needles. Or acting strange for change. Gerald. Hi, Gerald. Angel was still gorgeous. Oh, she's still gorgeous. Yes. They hadn't been, she just started using crack again, honey. I wouldn't believe she was on crack. Yes, but it didn't last that long. If you're doing crack, that's in the beginning, baby. When I started doing meth, I was on the dance floor spinning around and around and around. You spin me right now, baby, right now. I was having a ball in the beginning. Didn't last that long. Those drugs are very similar as far as the effect they have on you. Meth, crack, heroin. Now they got all kind of new drugs now, but those were the big ones then. Now that should have turned on you, honey, because eventually it's just going to be about the drugs. It ain't going to be about Poppy. It ain't going to be about that fancy apartment. It ain't going to be about no career. It ain't going to be about shit but getting high. So maybe she'll be able to pull out. I mean, I imagine so. This is the wrapping season, episode, season. I'm straight and married, but have always had gay friends then and now, right after I graduated from high school. Okay, Linda B. And not even that it's primarily gay now because women are getting exposed to a lot of HIV, honey. They're fucking with these people out there in the street. They don't know what the hell they do. Whatever. If you put that in your body, if you got it from someone else, it affected a lot of women in the last few years. Now they got so many treatments now. They have so many treatments now that I can't even keep up with them. Right? I take one pill a day after being HIV positive for over 30 years. I'm taking one pill a day, and of all the issues that I have, health issues, that is AIDS is not one of them. So things have changed a whole lot. 1996. Is that when protein inhibitors started? AZT killed people. AZT by itself. AZT by itself was being. I don't think it was helping people. But when they put it in combination, the original cocktail they talked about, it included AZT. Hi, Elnor. Thank you. Thank you, doggy. Bravo, 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 bravo. Look like my little doggy. Squeamy. AZT was known as the magic pill treatment, but it didn't work. AZT was known only, it was for something else, but that was all they had. They didn't have anything else, honey. So they had to promote AZT. Maybe it had a little bit of effect with people. I remember making black people, their hair got straight and their skin got ashy, but I don't know if it was saving their life necessarily. But for many people, maybe that was enough just to get them over to 1996. You know, we had various different kind of drugs. I think perhaps I didn't get as sick because I was spending so much time in jail in those days and in prison in those days. When you're in jail and prison, you do get the medication, whatever was available to you. Plus, you're not tearing yourself down and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't explain why I still should have died because I had it a lot more than 3 years. My partner had it for 3 years. He was gone. Right? So maybe there was different strains. You were in Notion School back in the 70s? I bet you that was a big conversation there. Get behind me, Satan. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. I was born in 1988. See, that'll be good history lesson for you, Deborah Mitchell. You were born in 88? Oh, you lucky child. You were a young person. How old does that make you? Oh, you can't ask the lady her age. Okay. I can't figure it out. Ain't nothing wrong being young, honey. I would love to do that over again. Was the cocktail Magic Johnson still around doing fabulous? I remember when they announced that he had AIDS. My lover was still alive. He was following that story with Magic Johnson. So Magic Johnson was around and he's getting the cocktail. Oh, we get the same thing he gets. One pill a day. Now people die, but in the last few years, I don't know anybody die from AIDS. I know a lot of people who have just gotten old and they die from cancer. I went through cancer myself 3 years ago. I don't think it has anything to do with HIV. But as you get older, you get other things. I mean, it's diabetes. I get diabetes now and all this other stuff. But if you don't, you're taking your medication. There's still a problem with people who are currently using drugs. They will still die. I just don't know anybody who's using drugs. I don't hang out anymore. But if you're using, because you're not going to take the regimen like it's supposed to be taken, you're just not going to do it. You're not even going to get a haircut. You know, that's part of it. People they're still out there, they're still shooting up, they're still having sex and all this kind of stuff, and not really. You have access to doctors, but you're not using it because you're getting high. Mm-hmm. I was born in '88. Shit, I'd be young and gorgeous, honey. Mm-hmm. Okay, Uncle Tim, how long was Jermaine Stewart sick before he passed? Okay, so Jermaine and we had split around, was it 90? In the 80s, I rarely saw him. I would just see him driving by for the last, after I started using dope. You know, we had our night out on the town, and then I started getting high. He never liked drugs, Jermaine Stewart. But so I was not aware of him having HIV. But when I was in San Quentin, I guess it was about 92, when I was in San Quentin, he was healthy because he was there to visit another inmate that was there, right? And I saw him. I don't remember what my job was, but some kind of maintenance thing around the visiting room. And I saw Jermaine Stewart. He was still healthy and all that kind of thing, right? And it had to be like 2 years later, I found out he passed away, and he had passed away from AIDS. You know, so no, I wasn't around for any time that he was sick. I'm sure he didn't know I was sick. I'm sure he was amazed to see me in prison. You know, but that's what happened. Most of the people around his crowd also died. I know most of his friends also passed away. People are just dying a lot, honey, in certain crowds. But he had some good years before he passed away. Before, he lived in a high rise, drove a Mercedes. He was doing good, you know. So he got sick at a time where a lot of people getting sick. It wasn't amazing. We know also a good friend of his, that a lot of people after they got sick, they killed themselves because there was no hope at all, nothing. And there are no drugs at all. All you're doing is getting sick and worse and worse and worse. It makes sense that you would consider something like that. But unfortunately, if these people could have just hold on a little bit longer, they might have made it into this period where now they have medications they can take. So it's just that all around. Mm-hmm. Magic should have patented his treatment, but he's just getting what we get. In the beginning, maybe he had access to a little bit more than we did if you had money, but it's never been about money really. Because if you want HIV medications, you can usually get it. Now, as far as the government was concerned, after your T cells went below 200, you had AIDS, and AIDS was a lifetime diagnosis. You couldn't have AIDS this week and then not have AIDS a month later, right? With these medications, it kind of complicates things because now if you take the medication, your T cells will go up. But at that time, they went down and they just kept going down. So they would put you on disability. And you would get this great Medi-Cal. They call it Medi-Cal here. Medicare, I guess. But it's Medi-Cal. So anybody with HIV could get medication if they wanted it. Like I said, the thing that complicated things was people who still use. Right? So I'm sure there's many sad stories out there. Every time I run into somebody from the old life, I live in the Castro now, but in the old days I lived in the Tenderloin, which is one of the worst areas in San Francisco. But it had a vein, this gay community, Polk Street, where I did my thing at. Every time I run into one of those persons, they give me an update of who all of them passed now. It almost seems like you were in the 80s still. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so the balls kind of give it lighten things up a bit, right? That's the fun because without that, it would be too depressing to watch. Unless you're really falling in love with these characters, and it seems like a lot of people really were looking forward to Pose. So I heard even if your numbers go up, you're still considered to have AIDS if they have ever dropped. Yeah, that's true. Scorp, I have AIDS. I have AIDS, honey. I've had it. I've had AIDS for most of the time, probably 25 years. But my T cells are nothing like what they were when I got diagnosed. It's a lifetime diagnosis because they could go down. If you stop taking the medication, your T cells will drop. And many people who didn't have a lot of resources and so forth, who were having a very hard time. I don't want to encourage nobody to do this, but what they would do is they would stop taking their medication, drop below 200, have an AIDS diagnosis, and then that opened up the world of benefits for them. Anybody recommending that, you might mess around and kill yourself. But that's the way it was, right? Mm-hmm. Candy was smoking crack. Oh, Candy's the lady. Candy girl, you are my world. Yeah, she had a good impression of what's the lady? She did. What's the lady with the little short hair dude? I thought it was good. Candy. Now if they don't get clean, see, they show us that Angel has some interest in getting clean, right? So Candy is not she's not down with that at all. She's enjoying herself. If more than likely we're going to see the Candy go down on drugs. They're not going to leave drugs looking glamorous in those TV series. I don't believe. If she doesn't get, we'll probably see that character, losing her teeth, her hair, becoming a mess, becoming a drug addict, because that's what happens, right? I had a good job. I was a system manager of a fabric showroom, right in the heart of the design center in Los Angeles, right? Great job. I relapsed from alcohol. I ended up on drugs, right? Maybe a few months later, because I just left the job. I just didn't show up one day, and it's the last day I ever saw me. The lady who was the manager of the business, she saw me on the street, and she was like, "Oh, I was probably skinny, I looked a mess. This explains what happened to you. Oh my God, how can I help you?" You know, sad all the way around, but at least I wasn't thinking about dying. When you're dope fiend, all you think about is getting the next hit. It keeps you focused. Mm-hmm. You sitting on the porch get behind me, Satan? What you do? It's nice you got a porch. Okay, that sounds like a job, Tim. A nice job. Oh, yeah, for the fabric showroom, Pindler and Pindler, right on Robinson Avenue in Los Angeles. So I worked with decorators. I was so disillusioned about the design industry, though. See, my dream was to become an interior designer. That was the thing for me. So I worked in several showrooms, right? But what I discovered was even these guys who had went on and got their associates or bachelors in interior design, and they had went to work for design companies, those were my customers, right? Because those are the ones that picked up fabric and picked up upholstery and did all that kind of stuff. None of them made any money. So if you were a successful designer, you as the designer, the lead designer, you made a living because it's your business. But I became very disillusioned about what if you weren't the head designer? Now, people who are in their right mind would think, well, goddamn, I got to work my way up. Who knows what could have happened? What's going on, Gammy Carter? Candy was the black character that died last season. Oh no, okay, I'm sorry, Roxanne. So what's the girl now who is hanging out with Angel? So I remember her now. Candy died. Okay. She was the one all snarky with Pray Tell. She used to fight with Pray Tell. Okay. But that hurt him as well because he lost a lot of people. Anyway, so what's the girl's name now who is the friend of Angel? The one who's using crack now, who introduced Angels to crack. She introduced, but somebody got to introduce. I mean, at some point, somebody brought it in, right? That don't mean you got to go become a crackhead. But I think Angel already had issues with drugs, with crack. Good afternoon, chat, Maz, and Tim. Hopefully, you're all having a great day. Still at work. Hopefully, no OT today, overtime today. Got stuff to do. Okay. Oh, you didn't come in and insult me, Gamage Carter. Thank you. Good for you. Usually you come in and insult me. Get a rise. Mm-hmm. I have a gift of design. Yeah, that was it. That was what I like to do. I remember when I was a little kid, I had to be about 11 years old, living in the projects, right? And my mama would bring the ladies, wanted to say, what does he do now? And they would come and see my little bedroom, the little bedroom in the projects. But I was always decorating my bedroom. I get bored with that. I change it. That I decorate it a different way. Posters and stuff. But that's something that's always with me. I was always taking strolls through furniture salons and antique shops and all that. Just something that always interested me. Was there a change in the night life in the community? as the show depicted. Oh, definitely, Eleanor. Hell yeah, they changed. First of all, they closed all the bathhouses. The bathhouses were in the gay life were places where you go and have sex with 5 or 6 people a night. And so AIDS was ravaged. I mean, raging. AIDS was raging. And so, yeah, in the opening of this thing, they showed this club. I forget the club's name. Some kind of they use a lot of like heretic type names, but they showed them closing the club down. Everybody had to get out. Anything that had to do with sex was definitely closed down. So they had sex clubs. That was all closed. And still no bathhouses here in San Francisco. That was a big thing too. People didn't want to give it up. So things changed a whole lot. But of course, towards now it's totally changed because now everything's online. So as far as I know, the clubs are not what they used to be. I used to live in Los Angeles and come all the way to San Francisco just to party. I wouldn't even get a hotel room. I would stay in the bathhouse, sleep for a few hours, and in the morning I would go into another club because they were open, around the clock. And just spend the weekend up here. Put my bags in a locker at the Greyhound bus station. Spend 2 or 3 days and go back home. The second episode showed Angel and Prey Tell getting help. Okay. The group collected money for Prey to do a stint in rehab. Right. And eventually he did go. Although he gave them hell at that intervention. I mean, people were getting up, fighting and shit, breaking stuff. That's what you call reading, people. You still don't understand what reading is? He was calling them what they were, telling them what he saw, reading the details of their life, right? But he went around the table and made everybody feel bad. So he held, fuck your goddamn, I ain't going to no rehab. I think that happens a lot when you try to do interventions, but they all told him how they felt. SF is ground zero after Gayton, Dugas. Patient zero brought the virus to bathhouse in SF. I thought he brought it in New York. Yeah. San Francisco was hit hard. New York was hit hard. First case I ever heard of was a person called Brandy Alexander. I still remember her name. That was the first case I heard about. She was a drag queen in New York City. But it was all happening so quick. So I don't know. I kind of blame one person zero, all that kind of stuff. That's what they feel like they did. But it's just like this COVID thing. I mean, this is a pretty serious. When we look back on these days and realize that people are walking around with masks over their face outside for a whole year, that people's businesses were lost and that people were dying, and 500,000 people died here, it's going to seem like with the AIDS epidemic, except it's going to be wider. It's going to be global, right? So this is a pretty horrible times, but we're just doing it all day at a time, man. Hi, Dan Irving. How you doing? Nicole Reloaded. Howdy. Who was a flight attendant so he could fly anywhere? Right. Yeah, so they believe for HIV, they believe that patient zero, who was a flight attendant, had been to Africa and he had brought, they believe that he was the first person. I don't believe in trying to find who brought it here, who's the first person. Sound like Donald Trump when you go, oh, that China virus. Girl, what difference does it make? It's global. The whole goddamn world is dying. You sitting there trying to blame somebody. Silly people. But if that flight attendant didn't bring it, somebody else would have brought it, honey. We get travelers from all over the world daily. You collect all the people that come into the United States from every airport in the United States. There are thousands of people arrive here every day. So if they want to say it was him or whatever, there's still thousands of people who arrive in Los Angeles, not Los Angeles, in the United States on a daily basis. That's why we have COVID all over the world now. Because people travel, they move from one place to the other. But what are they saying about COVID now? A bat bit somebody or some shit in a market. I mean, It's here. Fortunately, it's getting dealt with too. We seem to be doing okay with these vaccines. What do they got? Over 150 million people have been vaccinated. I've had number one. Yeah, they want to blame it on Africa. Right. We want to blame disease on somebody, child. Seems like African American community was very hesitant about even discussing AIDS in black men. Well, we always, churches have a role in all that, Oh, God and got you. So what about COVID? What God doing with that? God got your grandmother? People say anything out of their mouth, honey. Not the T word. Not the T word. What's the T word? What is that? No one really knows, but he was the common denominator. They just were understanding the trajectory. Yeah. Okay. There's a story called, and the band played on. If you're interested in AIDS, that's the most thorough one I ever saw. I can't watch a lot of this stuff now. It's too depressing for me. Not because I feel like I'm dying, like pray tell right now. All these deaths, you can't help but think about your own demise, particularly at that time where there was no cure, no medication or anything. It was just killing time. He's just killing time until he dies. That's kind of the way I kind of saw it. Why not get high? I get high until I'm finished, and I'll just be dead. That's it. So, thank God for the scientists, all the people in place, honey. 45. Don't say the name. The name that must not be spoken. It pains me that they're starting to talk that name again. And they, that's the T word. And I got so many that can't be spoken over here. But it pains me to start talking that fool up again. They might talk him right into running again. That was a big deal with the impeachment. This dude been impeached twice, and they still want to run him again for president. Lord, prejudice is alive and well. The only thing Donald Trump brought to the United States was more prejudice. People ate it up. What else did he do? Cut the tax for rich people. There's okay. We Were Here is a great doc on epidemic in San Francisco too. Yeah, I didn't see that one. I didn't want to watch it. Hey, the Wiley Show. The Wiley. Oh, you must have forgave me, Wiley Show. What you doing? We are very glad you are here. It's amazing that I'm here. All things considered, honey. A whole lot better people than me didn't make it. Just the time. Being at the right place at the right time. Add him this again. I still have an app on my Chrome. Make America kittens again? Lord have mercy. I hope they don't talk that fool up. Let him go. Go away, honey. Just let it die. Go relax him damn where. He should be working on all that money he owes. And they're still on that ass, too. Raiding Giuliani now. They're still on that ass. They're going to, honey. Giuliani is going to sing like a bird. Believe me. Why wouldn't he? He's damn near 80 years old. How you going to go do prison time? They start talking about that 10, 15 years he's through. And he has a lot of information about the goings on of Donald Trump. When they say make America great again, they're talking about making it white again, honey. The people basically, I believe, are terrified that the United States of America will no longer be white people. That's what he's talking about. That was the language. What do you call that shit? The undertone or something. Make America great again. Make America the 1950s again. Make America the Ozzie and Harry again. Make it where you didn't see no black people on television. You didn't see no Latin people on television. You didn't see shit. Everything was white. but the country is becoming more diverse, and the more diverse makes some people very uncomfortable because they want to still maintain their position as being the dominant race in this country. So it's fear, and he tapped into that. I'm sure he probably researched that. What can I do that will get these people to vote for me? And that's what it was. You see how crazy they act when they raided the White House. That's insanity. That's never happened in American history. And they would let somebody like that even run again after being impeached twice under investigation after investigation after investigation, and they're still investigating his ass. He might use it as a distraction to try to get more money out of these people to pay his bills, his debts. Still have minorities voting. Oh, well, that's ridiculous for minorities to be voting for that shit. I mean, there's nothing good about Donald Trump. He ain't do nothing for this country. Nothing. All he did is stir up all of this racism. On every time he got an opportunity, he was always on the white people's side against any kind of minority. Building gates to keep everybody out, stopping the goddamn people coming in from other countries. It's always about race, 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 because the people are terrified. They're going to take over. They were extremely terrified about Latin people coming from Mexico or Mexican people. They really felt like I mean, there are a lot of Latin people that is a country that is adjoining to this country, but there's plenty of space. Just get in the airplane, honey, and drive over and see. You see these little pockets when you're in the airplane. You see these pockets of cities, right? But the majority of the land is free. Just keep building then. I mean, most of the land is free. Then you see a group of lights. That's a city, right? And then you go a few miles. You see another little small group of lights. All that space is empty. We got plenty of time to grow. People come here, they want to work, let them work. Shit. But he tapped into that racist vein, and he wrote it. Then he would do ridiculous things like put one black person behind the only damn black person in the whole fucking building. He's standing right behind him. Look at my Negro. Look at him. Look at him. That's my Negro. That's my black person. Look at him. Come here, Negro. That was the attitude. They loved it. They ate it up. Uh-huh. They're still the majority, honest. Girl, why you got to have dominance over somebody else? Oh, they're going to take our jobs. Girl, you don't even want the jobs that the Mexican people get when they first come here. You ain't going to do them. You going to pick tomatoes? You going to pick oranges? The people ain't heard nobody. That was so offensive to me, the way you went after those people. How many families did you destroy? How many kids walking around still don't even know where their parents are? How you going to take somebody's child? You just take the child and give it to somebody else? Like it's a horse? Okay, they want some diversity without equal or correct distribution of power for all people. Can you say voter suppression? Yeah, that's a big deal now, is voter suppression. It was never great only if you were white. My grandfather was Armenian. He would have been allowed here under Trump. He wouldn't have been allowed here under Trump. You're right. He hated all minorities. He called we're all from shithole countries. In other words, dark. Mm-hmm. I think across the board. I mean, if black people were allowed to make a decent living, honey, if they were allowed to not only now they're just show business and basketball, but if they were allowed to really create wealth, I think that relationships would be better. You can afford to when you can afford to have a family, when it's not so oppressive that you run. A lot of these guys they're running from child support, honey. But if they were making a decent living, they would. I think they would desire to have their own family. It's a great unit, a family unit, a wife, kids, and all that. But I believe that when you're trying to do that and you can't make a decent living, it's very hard and it's very intimidating, right? So that's why these people want to control all power, all good paying jobs, all everything. Keep it with us. No, we ain't going shit again. The world is changing. Let it change, honey. I can't even go into what they felt about homosexuals just 10 years ago. Okay. Linda B says, what white folks don't know is whiteness is an illusion. It is construct and they are only allowed in certain route. Well, when you go to other countries, honey, if you go to Paris or whatever, if you're an Italian, you are an Italian. If you are Colombian, you're a Colombian. If you go to London, whatever, you are where you came from. If you're Scottish, you're Scottish. But when it comes to America, now they're white, right? James Baldwin used to talk about that a lot. They get here and now they're all white because here it just gets down to the color of the skin. So a lot of them, when they were doing that shit in Charlottesville, you see what were they saying? Jews will not replace us. Well, but aren't Jews white? So you don't even hate the ones that are in. Girl, whatever. They fight about the ones, even the ones they call white. Jewish people are considered white, right? But when you stir up the racists, they are intimidated by the Jewish people. Why? Because they think they're smart. That's what it is. You think they're smart and that intimidates them. I don't hate white people. Listen, I hope I don't give that impression. I ain't got no problem with white people. My partner was white. He was a great person. I loved him, right? But he wasn't a racist person. I hate racist people. That's it. I hate people who hate me. I like people who like me. It's that simple. People say, oh, you were messing with a white man and all this. That's what all the, the gays. They want everybody to like exactly what they like it's got something to do with them. Girl, if I don't have that issue, if I don't have a particular hangup, and not only concerning race, but whatever it is, bitch, don't try to drag me into whatever your hangup is. Give me free. Let me make my own goddamn problem because I have my own share of problems, my own share of things in life that bug the shit out of me, right? I have my own problems. So don't gotta give me your problem. If you hung up on your hatred of white people, whatever, that's something you need to work out because you need to get yourself comfortable in your own skin and in your own world, honey. Work it out. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. Okay, Charles Dodson. In many ways, as long as white people control the money and government, it won't matter if they become the majority race because their financial power is dominant. Mm-hmm. Right. It is the truth. They still don't have they're still going to dominate the what do you call it, the 3% or the top 1%, whatever. Yeah. Well, thank God the world's changing, honey. It'll be a whole different world in a few. I won't be here, but I don't think it's gonna make any difference how many because you get all these different people, right? Whose skin are light, right? They come to America and now they are white. So is there going to be a balance of how many Italians, how many Jews, or are they going to continue to be white? Because even when you go into the white community, they're not all the same. See, we recognize that colorism in the black community. We recognize light-skinned people and dark-skinned people, and we fight about it and argue about it and get mad about it and all this kind of shit, right? But even amongst white people, there are some people who are pink. There are some people you would look at them, you would say that no, that person is white because he really appears to be white, right? But they have all different kind of people. They got people with dark hair, dark features. He got people with like, because they're all from different places, honey. We're all from the same place, Africa. Basically. Whatever. I can't break all this shit down. America was built by racists. Of course, it is a racist country. Well, they took it from the Indians. They just came here and just took what the hell they wanted. Mm-hmm. So I guess when they say white, they're talking about European white. European, just call yourself Europeans. Why you gotta be white? That black and white thing is a problem here, honey, and we have exasperated it by calling it. Because I'm not black, honey. Am I black? This is black right here. No. One extreme to the other. That's how they see it. White and black. They're beige and we're brown. White and black. Why am I getting upset? Let that bullshit go, Timothy. You ain't going to solve nothing. Like South Africa in apartheid. Right. Yeah, they had to fight. Well, they had a tiny little minority there, and they still ran every goddamn thing. So I'm not burdened with all that. So if I'm not burdened with it, good luck. I just feel like you don't need somebody like Donald Trump in office where he's throwing gasoline on the fire. Logs and gasoline on the fire. That's what he did. He had us all wanting to kill each other. Mr. Tim, did you ever attend any of the balls? This is Al talking. If yes, which city? No, I never been to a ball. I came out in Los Angeles. I moved to Los Angeles in 19. We didn't have balls there that I knew of. Now I hung out in the gay community. I never went into the black community because it seemed to be a minority type thing. So I don't know what went on. I never heard of a ball though. Put it like that. When we had drag shows and things like that, or groups of queens and stuff like that, it always took place in a club, in a bar, right? It was always presented as entertainment. But as far as people having balls, I never saw that in Los Angeles. So it wasn't my scene. But boy, we went to them clubs though. That was the disco era. Disco era. Weekdays were for bars and weekends for disco. Kanye West is changing things. All right, Carl. You said Kanye West is changing. Where's he going? Billionaire genius. I don't understand the money thing with Kanye West. Maybe he made some business decisions. I don't know. I see a person who's mentally ill. You know, you guys follow him, know him better than I do. Maybe you understand his mind better, but all the behavior I've ever seen of Kanye West is always something crazy. I mean, to run up on the stage in the Grammys and take someone else's award and award it to somebody else, that doesn't make any sense. So, no, I don't know why he's a billionaire. I'd imagine it's got something to do with the investments that he was making while he was with those Kardashians. They're money hungry. They probably taught him a few tricks and invested his money. That's what it comes down to. Or just tennis shoes or whatever the hell it is. I never seen him as being no genius though. But it's only opinion. I think he's been hospitalized for bipolar disorder. Hey, don't that Webster? Mm-hmm. He's a billionaire because of the companies he started with Adidas. Okay. I personally think he's a musical and fashion genius. Okay. If he is, I just don't know, baby. I just don't know. I know we have a lot more billionaires than we ever had before. It used to be, you said somebody was a millionaire, that was a big deal. A millionaire, movie star, swimming pools, movie stars. Let me tell you a story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crew. Oil, that is. Black gold. Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, OJ's a millionaire. Said kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said California is the place you ought to be. So he loaded up the truck and he moved to Beverly Hills, that is. Swimming pools, movie stars. There's a lot more millionaires. If you live in a big city, if you live in California somewhere and you sell your house, you might very well be a millionaire. Because, I mean, anything. You can't even buy a house in San Francisco for like $1.2 million. So a lot of people, if they had those houses, they bought them when they were cheap back in the 60s, 70s, they might have paid $80,000 for a house that's now worth $2 million. So you can become a millionaire. A lot of people are millionaires now. Even a lot of these entertainment people, these rappers and things. Although I think they're suffering because they're not making any money right now under this COVID thing. You can't gather crowds like that. So a whole lot of people are millionaires these days, though. I guess $1 million is just not that much money. So $1 billion, 1,000 million. Now you talking some money. So if Kanye West got that, God bless him, honey. Many times when they give you people's wealth, though, they'll tell you they'll include the value of their properties, right? So if you have a couple of places, you have a place in New York, place in Los Angeles, that could be worth a few $1 million. You're a millionaire, The Beverly Hillbillies, Granny and Uncle Jed. What was the other ones? Jethro Bodine, Granny, Miss Hathaway. You remember Miss Hathaway? I wish I owned a house in Cali. I don't know if I want to own a house though, for myself at this point. The upkeep on the house and so forth. I mean, it would be great if you actually owned something, particularly if it wasn't no high mortgage or thing like that. I don't know if I even want to work paying no mortgage, $10,000 a month. Thank you very much, Average Carter. I will consider that. The TV theme song. Gilligan's Island. That girl. Rain around the mountain thing. Songs that make the hit parade. Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days. And you knew where you was in. Girls were girls and men were men. Wish that we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. Didn't need no welfare states. Everybody pulls his weight. Gee, are all the Sally great. Those were the days. Stifle, eat it. That's kind of like what Donald Trump would say, huh? Those were the days. He could have used that as his thing. You want to go back. Everything was white, honey. Jethro was cute. Max Bear. Them tight ass clothes. Him and Ellie Mae. I just recently found out that pot liquor is. Remember Granny? Wait a minute. You just found out what pot liquor was? Granny was always talking about pot liquor. Oh, I don't remember the pot liquor. I remember her talking about possums all the time. Possum stew and things like that. Oh, that was in that jug, the pot liquor? Okay. Record sales, concerts, investments. Well, if Kanye West is a billionaire, honey, God bless him. Shit. Because you have a mental, even if you have a mental, look at Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes all taped up in his house. The damn door was all taped up, never came out, fingernails all long, hair all like a caveman. But he was brilliant at business. And he was a billionaire when nobody was a billionaire, when there are only a few of them here. So just because you have an issue doesn't mean you can't be good at something else. Many times you are better at something else if you have shortcomings, right? A lot of creative people, they're dyslexic, but they're very, very creative people. You lose your eyesight, your hearing becomes better. So that's what you depend on. That's what you use. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? Yeah, okay. Yeah, practice. You don't know that the director would say, hell no. They might want to encourage me to sing. Mm-hmm. Juice from the greens is pot liquor. Oh, I didn't know that, honey. I know they used to make this stuff called, what do we call that shit in prison? They used to take ripe fermented fruit and make a liquor. I'm getting a brain freeze here. I don't remember what it's called. Whatever. They make liquor in jail. They get drunk as skunk in it too. They ferment, I think it was sugar and fruit, like old pears or whatever they put in there. I don't know why I can't remember the name. I have those moments. Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you for Cash App. I was singing the Beverly Hillbillies singing with you. Bill and Melinda Gates are divorced. Ooh, somebody about to become rich. They got so many billions, though, it ain't gonna hurt. They got so much money, honey. They spend all their time giving it away. It's too bad they're divorcing them. I mean, I hate divorce. You like nothing better warms your heart more than you see some old couple in church been married 60-something years. I mean, I love the idea of marriage, the idea of it. Not no bad marriage though, honey. It's got to be a good one. Pruno. Look at this nice. Thank you, Dice. Don't tell all your business now. Making that pruno. Is it made from prunes initially? I think you can use pretty much any fruit though. When the fruit ferments, it makes alcohol. Pruno. That makes me think that it's made from prunes originally. Hmm. Moonshine. Moonshine from the hills. That's probably similar to what pruno is. Pruno is a jail term. Mm-hmm. Charles Dawson. I like to get the crumbs from that table. The Gates. Just the crumbs would make you a millionaire. Mm-hmm. 27 years? They've been married 27 years. That means he married her before all this shit about prenups and all that. And he's going to have to give her half of whatever he made since he's been with her. Probably didn't have no money when he met her. Although 27 years, that's not that far back. That's what, the 80s? I don't know. Maybe he was already rich when he married her. $145 billion? That's obscene. That is obscene. But at least they are philanthropists. I mean, they do give the money away. Mm-hmm. 27 years. That's too much money. Way too much. All right, you guys. Thanks for coming in. I recommend you check out Pose. I think it's entertaining. I'm not going to review it necessarily, but more than likely I'll be watching it though. Okay. All right, you guys. Have a good Monday. Later.